So after the 2021 season, as people looked forward to the offseason, one of the big things that the Jaguars needed to do that was universally agreed upon was that the Jaguars needed help at receiver. And they definitely addressed that in free agency. In free agency, the Jaguars brought in wide receiver Christian Kirk on a 4-year, $72 million deal. They also brought in wide receiver from the Raiders, Zay Jones, on a 3-year, $24 million deal. And they even gave a contract to New York Giants tight end Evan Ingram, a 1-year prove-it deal for $9 million. And a lot of Jaguar fans really thought the Jaguars needed to double dip, get help in free agency, and also get help in the NFL draft. However, in the NFL draft, it really did not fall that way. The Jaguars obviously went Travon Walker with the number 1 pick, and then after that, there were 6 receivers that got drafted in the top 18 of the NFL draft. That's 33% of the top 18 picks were wide receivers, which was pretty wild but not super surprising. The Jags eventually traded up from pick number 33 to pick number 27 and wound up grabbing linebacker Devin Lloyd out of Utah.
Yeah.
Duval! Yeah! And, at that point, the Jaguars, they could have traded up there and got like the 7th best wide receiver, or they could have got the top linebacker on their board, and that's exactly what they did. They went linebacker and filled a major hole on the defense. And then up next was pick number 65 for the Jaguars, the first pick of the 3rd round. And the Jaguars went ahead and grabbed Luke Fortner out of Kentucky. He was only the 3rd center taken at the time, as opposed to when you look at wide receivers, there were 15 wide receivers selected before this pick. So, either get the 3rd best center or get like the 16th best wide receiver. The Jaguars did wind up going center. And then after that, the Jaguars actually turned out to never draft a wide receiver in the draft. And I think that was the most surprising thing about the NFL draft. More surprising than maybe Travon Walker going number 1 overall, or the Jaguars trading up in the 2nd round or in the 1st round, having 2 first-round picks. More surprising than really just how heavy the Jaguars went defense. The most surprising thing was the lack of wide receivers. However, I can't be too mad about it because as much as I really would have loved to get a wide receiver, unfortunately, the draft just really didn't fall that way. I mean, there's not a lot I would do different. I mean, Devin Lloyd I thought was a really, really good pickup. And even, you got a lot of value with Chad Muma. And Luke Fortner is pretty much penciled in as a starting center for this season. So, it was just unfortunate this year that the draft didn't fall that way. However, in undrafted free agency, the Jaguars went out and got wide receiver from Notre Dame, Kevin Austin Jr. And it was pretty big news when the Jaguars got him because the Jaguars gave him a lot of money to ensure that he came to the Jaguars. The Jaguars gave him a $25,000 signing bonus as well as $230,000 of guaranteed money. The Jaguars are essentially giving this guy $250,000 to try out for the Jaguars. Now, a little bit about him. He's actually from Florida. He went to high school in Fort Lauderdale North Broward Prep, and he committed to Notre Dame in his first year at Notre Dame was 2018. So he graduated high school, obviously, in 2018. Now, to go into a little bit of the positives, he's 6'2", 200 pounds. He ran a 4.4 340 at the NFL Combine, and NFL.com actually projected this guy as as going in rounds 3 to 4 in the NFL draft. Some things about him is that he has a large frame. He has a lot of upside given his speed and height. He's also got better as the 2021 season went on, and he attacks the ball really well. And he's also exactly what the Jaguars need at receiver. He's an outside guy. The Jaguars have a lot of slots, whether it be like Jamal Agnew, Christian Kirk, Laviska Shenault, but he does project to be a lot better as an outside threat, which is obviously good for the Jaguars. But the big story here is that, look, he didn't get passed up once by every team, not 2 times, not in 3, 4, 5 times. I mean, he literally went undrafted after 7 rounds. No team drafted him. So there's obviously question marks about him and what exactly led to this guy getting undrafted. And the main reason is because he only had 1 year of productivity. In 2018, as a true freshman, he only hauled in 5 receptions on 90 yards before getting a foot injury, sidelining him the rest of the year. Then in 2019, he actually got suspended for the whole entire season. I couldn't really figure out why. It wasn't for grades, it was for another reason. It was never really made public as to why he was suspended, but he did serve on the scout team during the fall. And also, instead of transferring like a lot of these guys would do, oh, you guys did me wrong, I'm leaving, he actually stayed at Notre Dame to learn to get better, and he did not transfer, which is good to hear. Then in the 2020 season, he only played in 2 games before breaking his foot. He only hauled in 1 of 18 catches. So 1 year ago today, if you were looking at Kevin Austin, you would have said, okay, this guy has 6 receptions for 108 yards in his 3-year college career. Not very good. Obviously suffered injuries and suspensions. But then 2021 came where he exploded on the scenes. 48 receptions for 888 yards, and he hauled in 7 touchdowns. He had a very good year for Notre Dame, had a fully healthy year, the first fully healthy season, non-suspended season that he ever actually played in. And he had a big decision to make. Did he want to come back for a 5th season in college and really improve his draft stock and kind of have back-to-back good years, leading to him to essentially be a lock to get drafted probably in the top 5 rounds of the NFL draft? But he did decide to declare for the NFL draft. 5 years is an eternity in college football, and if you're going to be projected to be on an NFL roster somewhere, you pretty much have to make that decision. So he declared for the NFL draft. He did not get drafted, however, obviously, like I said, and he went in undrafted free agency where he became kind of a top prospect for teams to go after him. And now the Jaguars have him. Now, the big question is, what are this guy's chances of actually making the team for the Jaguars? Now, when you look at the Jaguars wide receiver room, some guys that are locks to make the team are Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, Marvin Jones, and I would say Jamal Agnew. A question mark, but probably has a shoe-in, is wide receiver Laviska Shenault, even though he might be a surprise cut. We'll just have to see about that. And also, it seems like the 6th wide receiver spot is open, and that's kind of where the competition between Laquan Treadwell and Austin will really play a factor. Now, what does he need to do to make the team? Now, if you're the 6th wide receiver on a football team, you have to be a special teamer. You can't just sit on the sidelines. You have to learn to play special teams. And a big knock on this guy is that he has not played a single special teams rep in college. He was strictly a wide receiver. So he's going to have to get a ton of reps in training camp and a preseason at special teams. And, special teams is a really, really important thing. So we're going to have to learn that. Like I said, he needs a ton of reps in training camp and the preseason. We're going to see him play a lot. He's going to be playing the Hall of Fame game. He's going to be probably playing all 3 preseason games or 4 preseason games because this guy needs to get caught up to speed. He needs to stay healthy. He can't afford to miss reps, and obviously that's been an issue for him. However, the good thing is it's been like foot injuries, so it's not like he's tweaking out with like hamstring injuries and getting muscle tweaks. At least it's like a hard, bone injury where, it's not really something that really lingers as much. So that's one positive. He needs to improve on his route running because, of course, he is raw, only like 1 year of production in college, and just continue to work on his blocking. Now, the thing that's kind of good for him is that when it comes to making the team is that he's probably not a guy that's safe to stash. Like the Jaguars, for example, can probably hide Laquan Treadwell on the practice squad, and he's been on a handful of teams. A lot of teams know what Treadwell's upside is, so they're not going to be kind of shooting and really trying to go grab a guy like Laquan Treadwell. However, a guy like Kevin Austin Jr. will not be safe on there. A team is going to take a chance on Kevin Austin Jr. if the Jaguars try to stash him on a practice squad. So if it's a tie between Treadwell and Austin making the roster when it comes to what they did in the preseason. Austin is probably going to be, given the upper hand on that. And especially when it comes to the upside, maybe he shows a lot in practice and preseason where they were like, look, we can't let this guy go. We can't let this guy go. Maybe just have him on the roster, make him an inactive. But maybe even the Jaguars keep 7 receivers. You never know how, maybe 7 receivers, 3 tight ends. I don't know what the roster is going to look like. And obviously, we have a brand new offensive system, brand new defensive system. So a lot of things are going to be different. It's hard to really pinpoint where the important, guys to have on the team are. So that's a big thing for him. Now, it's hard to say, like, if I were to give my opinion on whether or not he'll make the team, it's honestly hard to say because I haven't seen him play at all. I mean, this is something that really it's going to be fun to watch him in the preseason. I mean, it really is. First of all, I think receiver is probably the most fun position to watch, maybe outside of quarterback, just because, we've seen Jaguars undrafted wide receivers in the past kind of explode on the scene in preseason, whether it be a guy like Allen Hurns or Keelan Cole. Both these guys were undrafted, probably not as high profile as a guy like Kevin Austin, but kind of low key exploding onto the scene. But it was kind of cool to watch those guys do it. And maybe we see a lot out of Kevin Austin. It would be best case scenario if Kevin Austin can really explode on the scene and he gets a lot better as, his rookie year goes on. I can't see him being like a number 1 wide receiver hauling in like 1,200 yards as a rookie, but, he could be a guy that year 2 or year 3 as he works on, what it's like to be a wide receiver, as he stays healthy, gets a ton of reps. He could be a guy that has an extremely, extremely high ceiling. All the traits are there. However, the floor is there where, he might have a pretty low floor and he might not even hang on to an NFL roster. We never know, but that's an exciting thing about preseason is competition. This guy is definitely going to get his opportunity. The Jaguars paid him handsomely to come in here and compete for a roster spot. So we'll just have to see how it is. Now, before I end this video, I wanted to give thanks to a couple of people. I didn't notice this, but YouTube has like a super thanks option in the comments section where you can actually donate a certain amount of money if you enjoyed the video. And I missed this, but Gage Walters actually donated $5 yesterday, and a couple days ago $9 or $10. So a total of $15 by Gage. So thank you so much. And also a few months ago, Cynthia Durchek, $5, and several months ago, Dre Bay 904 donated $5. So thank you to all you guys for donating. And I'm so sorry I missed those, but this is my thank you to you guys. And with all that said, also huge shout out to all my members. We got a good amount of members going. I'll be releasing a members only video tomorrow for you guys. And with all that said, join Relevant if you haven't already. Tuesdays, I do a podcast with Tom McManus under the Jaguars Fanatics vibe, and there's going to be a lot of fun, exclusive Jaguars podcasts over there that are only going to be found on Relevant. So join that if you haven't already. It's also a really lit group chat as well, so that's all fun. And with all that said, on your way out, please drop a like for me if you guys can. And like I end every video, thank you for watching. Go Jags. You guys watching the whole video, really appreciate that. You guys can subscribe to the channel for the best source of Jaguars news on the YouTube platform. Also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at UCF_Jaguar. And you can become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month for exclusive channel content. Thank you guys, and go Jags.